Before getting into department budgets, I just want to remind you, we just reduced the deficit with that vote to, on the county side, on the county budget, to 210. It was 757.
That's.
Okay.
At a high cost.
At the request of emergency management, because they got to be at a meeting, we're going to take up their budget first. And I'll just note that they're bringing a reduced budget.
What page are we on?
We get Josh. Which section?
Terry Jones said, hold on, can't hold it.
It'll be page 14 of your 101 budget.
Everybody could turn to page 14 of the 101 section. We're going to take up emergency management.
Let's see.
I wrote down.
Get a hot seat.
Picture of it.
All right, let's call it back to order, please. Y'all were on page 14 of section 101. Going to get into emergency management. My notes reflect that this budget is $18,250 less than last year's budget. Thanks to Josh for all his hard work on it. Josh, would you like to give us an overview?
So, I mean, we sat down with Beth, kind of compared what we had last year, our current budget versus our expenditure rates. There was, in last year's budget, like the command unit build out, which the command unit's been purchased, just currently waiting for it to arrive. I think the arrival date right now is like June 30th. So that's where the biggest cuts came from, was the projects that we had that were still rolling and finally gonna get those completed.
Tell us the number again.
So it's on page 14 of your 101 budget.
Okay.
Piggybacking off what Josh just said, if you look, what you're seeing on your budget is his amended budget, so that will have the grants included. So we did it two ways on Josh's. So if you compare the 547 to the 438, that is a difference of 108,771. But because there's grants in there, we Shannon went back and compared last year's original budget to this year's proposed budget, even with the salary increases for the cost of living raise. And his budget is still short $18,250 from last year. As I said, Josh did sit down with him, we went through, and if it was something that he's not 2 years has consistently spent, he slashed it. I commend him for that, because, you know, I really thought that doesn't always happen, but Josh did that. So I think his budget's realistic. I don't think we cut anything too far. That's always also another concern too. You want to make sure that you don't skim yourself so short that you have to turn around and come back and ask for funds. So I think he's in a comfortable place.
Thank you. Budget committee members, do we have a motion? Ms. Goolsby,
Make a motion, we accept his budget.
motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Hopkins. Any discussion?
Thank you, Josh.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Josh, on, 399, other contract service,
Yes, sir.
52,000, can you kind of tell us what that?
So that's gonna be our Esri, which is our mapping system. It's gonna be the weather camera systems that we have. So it's all of our contracts that we have that are year to year. Esri, Hyper Reach. So if you get the 911 alert systems, that's part of that. There's one more.
We went for every single one of those, line by line on those, and so we got.
Esri, Hyper Reach.
You had a slight increase on some maintenance agreements on one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait.
Too far. Okay.
Oh, emergent three, the new, emergency act of county, for all county offices. That got put into my budget too, so that was the other part.
But Mr. Reedy, then Mr. Wong.
Okay.
Mr. Reedy, do you have something?
Tacking calendars,
Yes, sir.
they all in there,
So the taxing project is not in my budget, no,
it's not in your budget.
no, sir,
Those sounds,
no, sir.
where do they come?
County buildings, as far as the electricity that's going towards them, we're taking out of county building, we just felt that it was to come out of OEM's budget.
The build out part of it, that money is set aside.
It's 189.
Yeah,
Mr. Womble, then Mr. Jones.
Are all your employees currently now in your budget?
Yes, sir,
Not full.
no, sir.
Ms. Jones.
How many employees are there?
So I have, it's myself, I have, Sarah, which is my, assistant chief, or deputy chief. I have Jenny, who's my ASA, and we have our part-time, Jeff Driscoll. He's our part-time planner, so he's the one that's in charge of doing all our plans, our grant writing, and all that stuff.
What's the salaries of each position?
So my salary, you want my projected? I mean, they're all right here.
So you got four different, you're all at the top. And that's just one person per category.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're adding, raises of, how much was?
6-3.
2.63.
Just a reminder, county and highway are proposing 2.63 cost of living increases.
And these are the full-time, are they 40 hours
Yes,
a week positions,
40 plus. Yes, sir.
40 plus? So you get overtime if you work with.
No, man, we get comp time. I do have an overtime line item, overtime payment that, is an option. So if one of my employees needed, the little bit of extra cash, that is there. Typically, they like the comp time, just because it pays out time and a half. So just like it would at an overtime rate. So.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Who else? Any public comment? Any other questions for Josh?
The other part of that, that's just,
Yeah, please.
was on that overtime pay area, so they can only accrue 240 hours of comp time. If they bust that, then I have to pay them, by law, we have to pay overtime. I'm very, very diligent and very much on top of my employees about, once you get 100, I'm gonna start taking off. One, we do accrue a lot of comp time pretty quick because of the events. I mean, emergencies never stop, so we're constantly getting called out. But I'm pretty on top of making sure that once they hit that 100, I'm trying to push them off to get a little time off.
We have to keep in mind because Josh is the only salary exempt employee. So all his staff is subject to the overtime rules. We have to make sure that that's covered.
Any other questions? Any other public comment? Ms. Alberry.
Does he still have a grant writer?
Yes, ma'am, that's my part-time employee. Yeah, it's actually paid with a grant that we get. So our EMPG, which is our Emergency Management Performance Grant, it's a grant through FEMA. We've gotten it for years. When we took on this part-time person, we transitioned that from the normal salary line items into just paying for that part-time employee. Yes, ma'am. So, sorry.
Any other questions or comment? Ms. Jones.
Where's your grant money reflected, and is there any other money that, or income that you get that you could point out?
So we work grants constantly. So we have a Homeland Security grant that we work every year. It varies from, we could get nothing to this last time y'all approved that $80,000 that we got from the Homeland Security. So it varies every year. EMPG, We have,
So
HSGP,
to answer your question for budgetary, okay, sorry, we only budget for the EMPG because we know that's reoccurring. We budget for that $22,800, and that's under Homeland Security grant on your revenue side. Revenue code is 47235. And if you'll look at that, let me find a page number for you.
Page 4.
Page 4. If you look through there, you'll see that there's a lot of rev codes that are zeroed out. It's because we will amend those grants in once we receive those or we roll those over. We find that that's the cleanest way to kind of give the best projection of where we're at, because grants, and you know, you guys will hear me say it, grants commingle into your budget, skews your budget. That makes you look like you plussed up your budget. It makes you look like you don't receive all your funds, et cetera, because of the timing of grants. So with this, we try to, you know, Josh and I talked about that. A lot of times we try to budget for Homeland Security grant. We don't ever know what it is until we're like, you know what, we're just gonna not do that. We're just gonna amend it in. That way it's cleaner and we know that it's already in there. So that's why if you see that, you always see that one grant there, and you'll see all the others that we've received or projected to receive this fiscal year.
I'm sorry, what did you say that last?
So if you look on that, on the revenue, you'll see that there's a lot of zeros, and then you'll see it right to the left of that. Those are some grants, those that we'll amend back in July,
I said,
from wherever that rollover balance is. It just kind of keeps it cleaner and kind of keeps everybody, you know, what's kind of going on with that.
would you take that into consideration when you consider how much we're short in the budget or not?
No, because what we do when we analyze this through, doing the estimate, we take grants, and wherever we're at that moment, we'll have the revenue and expense exact same dollar figure. Unless there's a local match. That way it kind of washes
Because
itself
that
out.
grant is for specific purchase generally.
Right, well, that too, that you always want your grants for budgetary, you want them to wash, because if not, you're gonna show that you're either getting more than you actually have, or you're spending more than you actually really are. So that's how we always budget grants, we'll either show them fully expended on revenue and expense, or we'll show them just wherever they're at the time we start budget process to make them equal out on both ends. Because at the end of the day, it still comes up to zero, that's what you're looking for when you're at it.
Anything else? Public comment before we go to a vote on emergency management proposed budget? Seeing none, all in favor, budget committee members, please say aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, Josh, for bringing us this budget. Next, we'll move into schools. Thank you for your patience. We're going to turn to section 141. That is the blue tab in your binder. Would you like to give an overview? I think it's probably appropriate, given the size of the school budget and all that they do, to give an overview of what we're looking at.
Okay, one thing that we tried to do on the school budget, if you'll notice your highlighted pieces on your revenue, we've tried to identify the maintenance of effort line items, so that way you can see visually what those numbers are, instead of me trying to tell you what rep codes are. We did that for the school system, so we did it the same as for you guys. Again, as we talked about earlier, this is for a maintenance of effort increase. And again, that number was 732, 148. I should have memorized by now, shouldn't I? A lot of numbers here. So that is, once you approve that, you will be resetting that threshold going forward. So that's again for operational expenses, not with just going into their coffers. Again, as stated earlier, there's a 2% raise on these. I'm not sure I said right on the
Base salary.
salary, how that all filters up. And then it's also for everybody. There's also the insurance, not insurance, but the retirement increase. It also affected the school system, like it affected the county. Which we'd also talked about earlier, talked about the utility increases. I think over $200,000, that was a huge hit. And also that hit us this fiscal year, we're having to find ways to make that work for June 30th, but also projection for next year. We talked about diesel going up 35,000. Projection, I mean, I don't think any of us truly know what they're gonna do, but what we're thinking and hoping that we have enough for it. What about the rates that cost over $700,000?
I think we need to mention too about the ISM grant. 3 years ago, when the ISM grant came to us from the state, it absorbed or paid for 100% of the 6 employees' salary, and each year that's decreased on us. So at this point in time, for 4 of those employees, we're paying 75% of their salary. The ISM grant's paying 25. 2 of our full-time employees are now absorbed 100% by our district. Because if you remember, each school got an allotment, only our middle schools and the 2 high schools got an allotment. So that money, it was given to that school and had to be spent on certain prescriptive things per that school. And so some of that money has already been depleted at 2 schools, so we're paying 100% of 2 of our employees who were hired under ISM grant money.
I would make a motion to approve the school budget as proposed.
I see.
Seconded by Ms. Goolsby. Mr. Carpenter, did you have something?
Yes, I'd like to question, looking through the school budget, it's under other salaries and wages. Under instruction, you have, 94,600. Support service, attendance, you have 41,614. Under special education, you have 42,864. Under director of schools, you have 1,000. The office of principal, $29,519. Operation of plants, 15,000. Maintenance of plants, 61,300. And transportation, 130,000, which comes up to 415,897. What does that entail? Tell me this.
At 189, now you've got to be a lot of areas to look at. In regular instruction,
It's under each.
under regular instruction, 189 is tutoring, extra duty when people work, gates and stuff. The schools have to send us money to pay those employees. If they take up money at the gates, they keep score. Anything extra duty and tutoring is gonna be in regular instruction 189.
Okay,
And where did you go to next?
support service, attendance,
Support services, that's a clerical position. It's a secretary.
okay, then director of school,
That is, what is that called, Dr. Beard? CEO supplement? Yes, and we get that money from the state.
So we have to also keep in mind on education, which is a little different from county, we are limited to the budgetary codes that we can use. Because we have a state chart of account, thank you, I don't know where that came from. And we also have to do yearly reporting to the Department of Education. And they only have certain codes that they utilize. So for us to kind of match our budget to theirs, it's limited, which I personally don't like, and we complain to say about that. But that's where a lot of that's for, where we have other, and also too, because there's not, as Shannon mentioned, there's not a tutoring line item. So you kind of have to lump it to where it's supposed to be. And you want to keep it out of your teacher line, because that co-mingles in with your regular expenses of your teacher, because you need to be able to track those numbers separately. So the unfortunate thing, it's very convoluted on how you have to look at the school budget for reporting purposes. And I don't like it that it's that way, but that's just the way it has to be with the Department of Education.
okay. Under transportation, they've got 130,000 in other salaries and wages that they have itemized in supervisor, mechanics, bus driver, secretary, overtime pay. Where does that $130,000 there come in?
That's for the special ed bus aides that have to ride on special education school buses, and also for any bus driver substitutes. We pay for all of their substitutes out of 189. And in special education, that 72,220, that is the sign language person that we did a budget amendment to approve that earlier this year to add that position in.
What other questions, comments do we have? Ms. Jones?
I have probably a few questions. How much of the funding for the schools comes from the state percentage wise? Do you know that? And how-
73.
Let's go back and look at your page 2 of your 21.
Okay,
At the top, you'll see that's your state revenues right there. Okay, and so you'll see that through the TISA funding formula, which used to be the VEP funding formula, we're expected to receive, and it doesn't include outcomes, 27,493,163. So primarily, the education system is funded through state funds.
It's basically a breakdown of 75-25, or that can vary from 78 to 22, but and that's all done by the state level, the task receiver funding formula. So basically 75% comes from the state.
and you mentioned the ISM grant pays 6 salaries. What were those positions for?
There are 4 what we call career exploration teachers among the middle schools, and a career coach at each high school.
How many students do you have now? And which direction are the student population going? Is it-
It's up one day and down one day. It's varying, but right now, I think the last time I looked at it, we had 3417. That did not include pre-K because we are not funded from the state under TISA for pre-K.
Pre-K is going to be how?
Through lottery. It's through a grant. We do have to do a match that went up, last year, maybe the year before, about a 30% match for pre-K.
That's county funding.
Is it fair to say not all students can do pre-K, Dr. Beard? Isn't it income-based or needs-based?
Pre-K is income-based first, and then
Okay.
if there are any slots available, we have 5 schools with pre-K, they can each have 20 students. And it's income-based first, and then after that, if there are any slots, it is kind of a first come, first served basis.
We have Mr. Jones, Mr. Hopkins, then Mrs. Jones. Terry?
I need to say this as an employee of the school system. I'm not gonna vote on anything that's gonna enrich me. I don't see anything in this that's gonna benefit or enrich me. But if anyone would like me to recuse myself, I won't be offended by that. But I want to put that out front.
Thank you. Thank you for your service to the school system. Mr. Hopkins, then Mrs. Jones.
Page 3, line item 140, salary supplements.
Coach coaching.
God damn. It's insane.
On that, I am curious, do we not pay, the high school football coach a good bit, and he's no longer, has he transitioned out?
Okay, he would be under the grandfathered supplement, which was a percentage based. As coaches who were grandfathered in, move on, retire or whatnot, it's a flat rate. So the head supplement is 6,500. And I really can't answer that question, but
Sorry, we had Mr. Hopkins, now Ms. Jones.
Once you bring us up, Knox and the, school renovations, which how we are, what your future plans are, what's the next school and so forth.
We haven't
Got
decided.
a lot of money set aside.
Yeah, we've begun those deliberations. We can't, like I said earlier, I don't think we can start on any one school for less than $10 million. Mechanical and electrical at both Elton and Richland are beyond needing repair. They needed been repaired a decade or so ago. Richland School has significant concerns with electrical. And, when you look at student population, the north end of the county, when you look at Richland School, roughly 17% of our entire student population. Richland Elementary, roughly 14% of our entire student population. Then if we look at Elton, one of the older buildings, it's roughly 7% of our student population. So this is a conversation and an ongoing conversation. We have a in-depth meeting tomorrow with Wold HFRRAE, an architect firm, as well as Brindley, our construction managers at risk, and our maintenance department, as I alluded to Chuck Eddy a while ago. They've gone back into these schools, reassessed them from the assessment from 21, 22, to see where we are, what inflation has done to the cost of those school buildings. But at that time, Elkton's mechanical and electrical only was 6.5 million. And at that time, Richland's mechanical and electrical only was 13 million. So we obviously anticipate both of those to be higher, but Chuck Eddy and crew are doing creative. They sent me a spreadsheet yesterday or the day before. My eyes were bleeding after about 5 minutes, but they're doing a very tactful job of going through and seeing what's already been adjusted, through these years, what is needed, because HVAC does get replaced as needed. Richland Elementary has a lot of issues there with those TVAC, whatever ETAC units. So it is a decision, and the board is working towards that. We have a board retreat this weekend where we'll be discussing some of that as well.
And Richland's enrollment is at capacity.
Both of the schools. Both of the schools.
Both Richland Elementary and. Any further questions, y'all? Public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Carpenter.
You're talking about $6 million at Richland for electrical?
I thought I said 13.
More than that.
That was 4 years ago.
What
Mechanical and electrical.
does that entail?
It's just like what it entailed with Giles County High School and Bridgeport. It's resetting all the switchboards, updating everything, all of it, rerunning all the wiring. It's the same thing you guys are running to with the cost at the courthouse. I mean, it is not cheap. It's not by any means. And then that's to get them to where they're at a more efficient state and allow HVAC plug in. It's a lot more to it than thinking about how we wire home. It's a lot of miles of wiring.
And this is, how much did you do last year? On this,
On which part?
on Richland Electrical?
None. None. We're finishing up and kickstarting. I guess this probably started this week, right? Or last week. We're finishing up Pulaski Elementary School, and that'll be done. Should be done by the end of this year. Maybe look at a ribbon cut in January, February. And again, that's why we're very cautious, but with forethought on surrendering those pennies so that we can keep gaining in our fund balance for these renovations to stay on track. And one of the things, Ms. Jones, we're working on right now is we know that, we're looking at that fund balance of usability around 9 million, but if we stick to our guns on not letting you go below 3 to 4 million, let's just say we have 5 million ready to go. So we're trying to work on which school is next and identify how to do that in phases so that we can put that money in the accounts where it needs, no audit finding, and move forward with whichever school that is.
So how much per year do y'all increase that budget by? How much that goes into that particular?
Into 178.
That's aimed at that school renovations.
Well, right now we don't have any. We moved 3.2 million for the Pulaski Elementary School renovations, and 178 has the money left in there from all 3 of the renovations. Because even though we took a bond out for Bridgeport, there was still some contingency left at Giles County High School, so we moved that to Bridgeport and likewise. So, but that's in that 3-school project that, at one point, we were looking at all 8 schools through ESG, through that professional services group. And they had a mechanical and electrical bill somewhere around 19 to 21 million. And then that didn't go through. And we had to back up and punt and take it on the way that we've taken it on. So we spent upwards of 23 million on 3 schools.
Mr. Reedy.
Yes. I think that the school has been over generous with us to do that. The school system has done a magnificent job of managing their system and their money and keeping us from having to build a new school. And we're funding 25% of their budget. And all the cuts that they're having is coming out of the 25% that we're offering them. And I guess my concern is this is good. They're kind of pulling us out of the fire this time. And we do not need to get used to that, because we are in a mode of what does it take us to get by, rather than what does it take us to get ahead. The school board is managing from what does it take us to get ahead. And let's don't destroy their efforts there. Let's approve this and figure out what we're gonna do next year. The next year, whoever the new commissioners are, and try to figure out how to manage without continuing to rob various departments and whatever we can get out of them, so that we can get by. So I encourage you, just vote yes and thank the school board for what they've done.
Here. Mr. Wong,
It looks like, has our TISA funding increased $875,000 this year? Is that correct?
It's increased, we built in for outcomes, it was increased, like,
Just looking at line 46,500, search line.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was increased this year. We are expecting an updated estimate any day now. We did build in, we've been building in 250 for our outcomes, but each of the past 2 years it's been well over 300,000. So we did bump that up based on our outcome.
You're expecting 875,000 more this year than last year?
Yes, sir.
That's a nice increase.
Yes, sir.
So last year we increased your budget by $1.5 million by allowing you to budget $1.5 million more of your total collection. So this year, between this increase and the additional maintenance of effort increase, you're looking at another $1.5 million increase roughly in your budget. Is that something we can look for a year?
No. Short answer, no. I think to your point, though, we didn't have the maintenance of effort increase last year, regardless of other increases in what we've scheduled with teacher pay and whatnot. We'd be well behind where we are this year. And that was from the prior 2 or 3 years of not increasing maintenance of effort. And that's where we get into trouble. And that's where we dug ourselves out of the hole. Pennies were taken from us and from the school system before I was on, and so I believe it was 17. And then in 18 through again, working with the city, working with Executive Green, and getting a maintenance of effort increase for the first time. And I think I was told 11 years, we've begun this cycle of digging ourselves out of the hole. And over 8 years, 3 school remodels with money starting to be saved for the next set of remodels. And again, let's go back to 18 and what Mr. Reedy was talking about, that there was a referendum put on that ballot. And you've heard me say it over and over again. It wasn't no, it was get out of here with that nonsense. No, on building a new high school. And so we took that to task and took it to action and started working hard. And it took us years to even at one point get the prior commission to agree to allowing us to spend, I think, the first $16 million. And
Bless you.
and then we got into COVID and costs went up. So, back to talking about TISA games, let's see, it was in 23 when it became effective, and we got a shot in the arm, a $4.7 million increase over our PDP funding. So we've taken that to task, put it into our salary schedules, put it into our strategic planning for growth. We went from no raises in forever to giving some raises. Then we went to adding a 5-year step raise, because competition to get, hold, retain, recruit top teachers is solid. I could go on so many different tangents on this, but And we went to Central Magnet in Murfreesboro. I had pictures of that school. I mean, that school looks like hell from the outside. But there's 800 applicants a year, they accept 300, and that's because of what's going on inside the building. And those are the things that we're trying to do and trying to accomplish. You know, our proficiency rates, I mean, a lot of things you can see our grade, you can look that up on the state. And it's not where we want it to be, but it's a heck of a lot better than where it's going. But this funding and this strategic planning between our board and everything we've done to get us here and to continue with acknowledging maintenance of effort, because the cost of doing business goes up every year. And we're up against what they give, and we're also up against what they take. So we've really put the thought and the time and the planning in this, and we just respectfully ask that you approve this budget as the board approved it, or else we're gonna get into a timeline issue.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve. It's been seconded. It's been discussed. Any further comment, public comment included? I'm not seeing anybody. Last call. Yes, sir, Mr. Hopkins.
Sorry. So we're basing this on increasing the maintenance of effort. So we're not voting just on this budget. If you vote yes for this, you're voting to increase the maintenance of effort, which we didn't vote on, thought that would be a separate vote prior to doing this, but we're voting on it as one. I just want to make that clear as to what's actually being voted on.
Right, the motion is to approve the budget as proposed, which includes the maintenance of effort increase of $732,000. Any further comment or discussion? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Jones.
Any way to reduce the maintenance of effort, but still allow the same amount of money to stay in the school system? Or would that even be advisable?
Part, and I don't know if this is clear, maybe Beth can help me through, because when we were sitting down and we talked about when the penny collection rate was at the 98.5, that was a gain of 232,148. And Beth said the way for us to actualize that into our coffers is to do that through utilization maintenance of effort. When really our ask was 500,000. We'd like to get on some kind of schedule of maybe that. Because that has seemed to be the number that's helped us stay ahead of the curve a little bit. Explain that, because that's kind of how I took it, and that's part of where we landed at 732.
The only way we can technically raise maintenance of effort is we have to raise one of the highlighted revenue codes. So in doing so, the board wanted the growth of the penny. So we added the 230 some odd thousand. So we added that amount to the penny amount there. And then we did the remaining 500,000 sales tax. So that's how you raise maintenance of effort, by increasing the revenue of those highlighted revenues. So what you're asking, the only way you could do it would be to offset it by taking additional pennies to equate to the growth that you don't want them to receive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's one and the same. You can do that. Because if you don't allow them to have their maintenance of effort increase by what you see in front of you, then the school board has to go back and reapprove. If you want to do it a different way, you would just take additional pennies, which would equate to the growth.
Well, what I asked was, can we reduce the maintenance of effort and still keep 32,000 in their budget?
No.
Any further comment? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote on the school proposed budget. Dr. Lathrop,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Hopkins,
No.
Mrs. Jones.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. And Ms. Goolsby.
Yes.
So that is 6 yeses and 1 no. Lois. Thank you to the school board for working so hard and helping us out, close this gap.
Thank you all for listening and being open-minded, and thank you for the question.
Cafeteria budget, which is page,
143.
yeah, the very next section, labeled in blue. The cafeteria budget.
And these are federal funds, not anything like public municipal, has to be approved to the governing body. It is showing a use of fund balance of $244,006. Again, this fund has to be self-sufficient, has to take in, enough to be able to sustain expenditures.
We have a motion to approve by Ms. Goolsby, a second by Mr. Jones on the cafeteria fund. 143. Any discussion? Any questions? Any public comment? Not seeing any. Anything you'd like to add before we go to a vote?
Pretty much still.
Question is, are they getting free lunch still?
We are under the community eligible program still. It is covers breakfast.
Those are federal dollars. All right, we're gonna go to a vote unless there's any other comment. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? 0 opposed, so that's unanimous, Lois, on the cafeteria fund. Does that? Nope.
177, 178.
All right, so your yellow, the last tab in your binder, we're gonna jump to 171, 77, 78, and 89. Just 177. That would be page, yeah, first page.
Second.
That's the. Yeah.
Does everybody see the title in the top left? Education Capital Projects 177. That's where we are.
So 177, it has, we're projecting to have it, you're in $3,128. We do, as it's been referenced, we do expect to do a transfer to this fund in July for some maybe potential roofing projects. So this is the school system's original capital projects fund that they established. This would be for your not as large projects, like I said, maybe some roofing projects or for other capital expenditures. But again, we're not even showing a budget because we only have $3,000 in there currently. That still have to be approved.
Motion to approve by Ms. Goolsby, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion based on Beth's comments or any other questions? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous, vote. That was 177. Next be 178. That is the next page, should be in your binder.
So that budget's kind of structured the same way. This is where we had the Dallas County High School, Bridgeport, and currently the ongoing project at Pulaski Elementary School. Again, I'm showing that those funds, that we would fully expend those next year. And again, that's just for Pulaski Elementary.
Any questions? We got a motion by Mr. Hopkins. I'll second to approve 178. Any discussion? Any questions? Public comment? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Unanimous vote. And that does it for school. Thank you all. Does anybody need to take a quick break before we dive into our?
Yes.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Cooperation and collaboration today.
Haney Realty and Property Management is the team you can trust. Our extensive knowledge of the market and industry allows us to help our clients with any real estate need. We know how to get results. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, or rent, let us put our expertise to work for you. Call us today at 931-347-9150 or visit HaneyRealtyPam.com to learn more. Haney Realty and Property Management, your best friend in real estate. If you're looking for a new job, let M&M Staffing be your guide. With over 20 years of experience, we know how to connect great people with great opportunities. We work with over 80 companies, so we're sure to find the perfect job for you. Our team is dedicated to helping you succeed, and our high customer satisfaction rate proves it. Ready to get started? Visit us at mnmstaffing.net or give us a call today at 931-347-4255.
For over 50 years, PES Energize has been proudly powering our community in Pulaski and Giles County, Tennessee. We're more than just an electric utility. We also offer internet and phone services. Our commitment to our customers and our community is what sets us apart. We're dedicated to providing safe, reliable, and innovative services. At PES Energize, we believe that serving you is a privilege. We're here for all your energy needs. Visit PESenergize.com or call us today.
When it comes to insurance, Winterburn and Associates Insurance is the team you can trust. We offer coverage for your home, auto, business, and more. We work hard to find the best policy for you at the best price. Our personalized service means we take the time to understand your needs and make sure you understand your options. We want you to feel confident and secure with your insurance policy. Let us make insurance simple for you. Get a quote today at winterburinsurance.com or call us at 931-363-8638.
Department of Pulaski is here to help you save money. Natural gas is safe, efficient, and cost-effective. It's up to 50 to 60% less expensive than electricity for home heating. Plus, it's clean and efficient, so you can feel good about your choice. Call us today for service or visit our website to learn more. Make the switch to natural gas and start saving today.
And we're gonna start with the ambulance department next. Do you have the page number here? If everybody could please turn to page 16 of 101. Ambulance department. All right, I believe the budget committee members are back. Let's get going. We got about an hour and a half left, trying to get through the biggest departments today. Appreciate the patience of the department heads. So again, is everybody on page 16 of our first section, 101? That's the ambulance service. I think the high point is, and as y'all all know, Walter has worked his butt off to get a reduced budget. Do we have a motion, Mr. Jones?
I make the motion, starting from that discussion.
Uh-huh.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Mr. Jones, second by Dr. Lathrop. All right, so, any questions, comments before we hand it off to Walter to, I guess, give us an overview? Hate to put you on the hot seat, but you have brought us a reduced budget by looking at all your contracted services that you could do without, or you found ways to do without them, or find, ways around that. I know you've been thinking creatively. We just appreciate all that you've done. Ultimately, how much less are you asking for this year? I think we can see that. Last year, they're asking, it was 4.8, difference of 92,000.
76.
What questions do we have? What public comment is there? Mr. Womble?
And that's of the amended budget, which 180,000 was put back into. So you look at it that way, it's even larger. Am I right?
So when Shannon compared again original budget from last year to this, it comes up with a $75,240 difference because of the remount less some cuts. So that's how much his budget is. It's actually more than last year because of the remount. Does that make sense? My note sheet? Yes, please.
We have a note sheet that we're gonna try to get up on the board for you.
Okay.
Go to your, my comparison? Yeah. Okay.
I'm noticing that the salary supplements has gone 20,000 last year to 0 this year.
Well, that would be because of the state, I wanted to call it grant, but that's again, something that we'll amend back into the budget once we receive the funds. Where do you want to go in that one? There's the back into that 75,000. But this just kind of shows where we were at last year's original budget, not amended, just original, versus this year. And we excluded the salaries because obviously those are kind of a given. So you can see the last year, nothing was, and the part of the original budget, nothing was budgeted for a remount. This year, we have budgeted for a remount, and the budget difference, from the way I made notes, so it's only $75,000. So in essence, there was like $100,000 or $96,000 that was cut from the operational expenditures down. If that makes sense. And that's why it's important, and we talked about adding another column to the budget to make it even longer or wider. to have amended budget than have last year's original. That way you can start comparing last year to this year, but because the amendments always skew, especially when you amend in grants, when you amend in for different things, it can make you appear that you're not, spending as much or requesting as much because you have grants from the prior year. So that's what that is from this year. So again, we're putting a remount in, but we did not have a remount budgeted in for the original budget last year. And the budget's only increased total by $96,000. So does that kind of, everybody following that? Because you would expect to see $176,000 plus for an increase, but he made cuts from it.
Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Carpenter.
Is the remount under the 338 or is it under 718? Then what is the 338? Is that just general
Maintenance.
main? Okay, sorry, just wanting to clarify. 'Cause
I know our maintenance budget is really out of line with what it is like in, say, Marshall County. They deadline their ambulances when they get $200,000. They get a brand new. It doesn't come out of their ambulance service budget. County just buy it for.
Okay.
Where 7 of our 8 ambulances
Mhm.
have well over 200,000 miles. So that's motor, suspension, transmissions, everything else.
Yeah.
Mr. Carpenter.
And this may be a stupid question and maybe I'm overlooking somewhere, but the ambulance charges for services, right? Yes, sir. Where is that money?
That's a good question. Okay, it's gonna be on your revenue page. Let's go all the way back to the meeting. And it's going to be on page 2. Towards the bottom, it says patient charges. And you'll actually notice we decreased that amount because Walter and I spoke about that. We had been getting those numbers for the past 2 years from our billing company, giving us a projection. And both years we're not meeting that expectation, so we felt the need that we needed to bump that down.
What's the line number?
It's 43120. So we're budgeting 2.45.
It's 4-3.
Page 3.
Page.
Page 2.
43120.
It's under 4,300.
Everybody found it? 43120.
Not really. It's on me. Even with license day.
In layman's terms, is there a way to explain why the patient charges number has seen a decrease?
So on that, like I said, I think it's relying on the billing company to give us their projections. If we decided it's best that we give our own projections based off what we're actually collecting. So
The way we came up with that is we basically looked at revenue collected 2/3 through the year and did a little math and came up with what the numbers realistically are. And Digitech, the billing company, they were, I think, overestimating some of their collections. And I think it's probably a little bit better for us to be forthcoming and honest with you with what reality is. So, yes.
So this is a conservative number.
Yes, sir.
based on, you can see the audit numbers, to the 411, 2.492. I had done my own estimate, then Roger.
That's, people call me Roger all the time.
How do you?
Good game, Phil. You're all right.
Walter did his own estimate too, and we both were like right within a line of each other, so we're like, okay, we're gonna go with that number, and then we talked about what we wanted to do, we put a little, we did think just might see a little bit of an increase, with the changing the billing company, so. But again, that goes back to, again, it's an estimate, but we wanna make sure that we provide the most accurate and up to date, and going for 2 years with Digitech and trying to use their estimates, neither year they've met the expectations, so we felt like we need to definitely bump that number down.
Mr. Womble, then Mr. Hopkins, then Ms. Jones.
So changing, we're currently advertising it for changing building codes.
Yes,
And we're expecting a 1%.
I would hope at least 1%.
Beth, do you think we could add just a little bit to that number to help with our overall budget?
Hey, I'd love to, but again, this needs to be, as long as everybody understands and agreeable to that. Again, we just went by what we felt like was a conservative approach. But again, if you all make that motion, then, I mean, well,
I'm just thinking that may be a line where we can pick up $50,000 toward our full budget.
I-
If that's reasonable, I don't wanna,
That,
your
that,
opinion on reasonable is more important.
the budget last year for that was 135,000. This year, it's, we put it at 96,775.
What do you,
on the expenditure side of it, for
Oh.
the percentage that we pay. I think he's talking about, do we think that we're gonna receive more revenue because of the year?
what about increasing 43,100 possibly?
He's thinking, do we want to increase the revenue from 2.45, make it to be
The
2.5?
increase in revenue is just as good as decreasing expenses.
Yeah,
If it's reachable and
If it's
obtainable.
reasonable.
we're doing different things right now with ambulance service to try to generate more revenue. We're starting to take doctor's appointments where I think in the past few years, they really haven't been doing that. I think I had 2 yesterday to Nashville, which pays money. And I think I have 2 more scheduled this week, and then I have some scheduled for the next month as well. So that definitely kind of helps on the revenue side. I hate that somebody in this county that lives here that has to go to Nashville for a doctor's appointment has to call some outside agency to take care of that. And that's what we're utilizing our day truck primarily for. Also to backfill, zone coverage, like if the south truck gets a call, we send them south to cover. North truck gets a call, we send them north to cover that area. To hopefully decrease some of the response times that we have, which provide better service.
Mr. Hopkins.
So I know it's been over a year since we've looked at our rates, how we compare. That's, I have to ask because it's,
Yeah.
what was said. Reducing expenses, increasing income, doesn't matter. They both solve the same issue. So is that something, because again, we sit here and talk about how all costs have been going up, including healthcare, and yet our costs are the same. Or our charge is the same.
One thing I actually did is I compared our rates with Logan County rates, Lincoln County rates, Orange County rates, Marshall County rates. And they're all very, very close, within $20 each other. Some people charge more for mileage than we do, some people charge less. I think all realistically kind of balances out, but any rate increase we have is something that we don't have.
Back to my original question, Ed, would you feel comfortable raising that number any?
And to what extent?
50,000.
I'm looking at Walter, I mean, cause we've got 2 years of data right here, and unless we really feel like we're gonna be more aggressive,
My fear is that if we raise it and then we don't hit it, we're in the same position we are now.
How many years has it been since we hit projection?
With Digitech, I don't think we've ever hit projected.
we've last 2 years, I think. Yeah,
Maybe lower than this year, obviously.
yeah, that's one would be just after 2 years, it might get, that something needs to reset here. I mean, you know, to me, your revenue projection is based off your last year's data, your hard numbers, and then your projected data. And so this is where we're at. I mean, you know, I'm gonna say that's y'all's call to make. I mean, I don't feel, I've always vowed to myself that I would never overinflate our revenue to make the bottom line look good, and I'm gonna stick to that. I mean, you guys can do it, but I just, I can't go. I can't do that.
We have Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Reed.
Okay, David had touched on my questions about the billing company. Who is the billing company current?
Currently, it's Digitech.
It is Digitech.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was it prior?
Prior to that, it was A&B Motors.
What Digitech is the one that's giving you a better deal now, or?
No,
Are you going to a different?
we're bidding
That's-
out the process again.
I see. And so, you're thinking that the cost,
I
is
think,
gonna be less?
yes, ma'am.
And that's the 96,775 over here on the
Yes,
expense package. Okay.
And that's reflected as what I think the estimate that we're gonna be able to get.
Okay.
that we got.
So the difference would be, well, you just have a little more profit in that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that carrying, patients to and from doctor's appointments, do you think that the income from that is offsetting the wear and tear on the equipment and ambulances?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's convalescent.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off what Commissioner Walker was talking about on 43,100. The difference in last year versus the projection for this year is $240,000 less. Do we think it's gonna be $240,000 less? Because what he's trying to get across is built that budget up. It'd be the same thing as cut, so we're looking at $240,000 less income.
Yeah.
We're probably looking at 204,000 less.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I've looked at the numbers of the ambulance service, how many calls we run, you know, for the last 5 years on average. They stay pretty consistent. So I would think that, you know, the amount of revenue we collect should be pretty consistent as well if you run the same amount of calls. Like I said, I'm just real conservative on like estimating things. That's the way I live my life and my household and things like that. I don't wanna bet on the fact that I have $1 million when I only get 1,000.
Mr. Reedy, Mr. Carpenter, then Ms. Jones.
You may not know this, but this most of the under collection come out of indigent care.
Indigent and uninsured. There it is.
I just
Okay.
remember yesterday, you know, the financial management committee voted for $100,000 for the write-offs from a whole year period. And that was the same roughly the amount that we did prior, and that's just part of it, and of course, and as you raise rate, you're going to increase that amount as well.
Mr. Carpenter, then Mr. Jones.
Estimate how many total calls you do a year.
About 6,500 on average.
And what would you estimate the average cost per call?
Calls to the patient.
Right.
Probably close to, I'd say $1,000.
You mean out of pocket or total from insurance?
Interest,
Yeah.
like the revenue, but not all 6,500 of those calls are billed calls. Some of those are like standbys at football games. You know, you go to a car accident and there's no patients. All those calls count towards the call volume, but not all those calls generate revenue.
Mrs. Jones.
On the expense page, the limits of revenues collected, is that because of the, over estimation of income, is that to, or what is that, the limits of revenues collected? Halfway down.
I believe that's 10 care.
Or should we receive some 10 care funds? and as revenue, and then, but we have to turn around and pay a certain percentage back to the state. Good question.
Mr. Reed, you have something?
I do, I want to finish, that's okay. Our charges, for services,
Yes.
Are they, right in line with the rest of the counties, or are they regulated by something besides just what we decide we're gonna charge?
Well, there's certain amounts of money that Medicare or Medicaid
Right.
will pay. Our rates are not that. But if we accept money from Medicaid, that's all we can reality bill the
Right.
patient. We can't bill on board with that. But the rates are pretty much what y'all set, and they are pretty close in line to everybody around us.
So we can't raise rates.
Y'all could probably decide to raise the rate some, but what's that? You don't get paid? No.
Well, yeah. You get paid, by the people that pay. The people that don't pay, it doesn't matter what you charge them, they're not gonna pay, or they can't, whatever. So it's a possibility you could slightly raise the rates. But, one of the things I just looked at was that if you take away your collections from your actual costs, then we're just spending $2.3 million on our ambulance service here. And the thing that is sobering to me is the fact that one time we looked at outsourcing this, and that means that an outsourced company is gonna figure out how to surpass that $2.3 million, and they're gonna do it through not just great management, it's gonna be through reduced service. I think we get super service from our ambulance services, and they, you know, and believe me, I've used them. So, it's been really great service and life-saving service. So, I think that just a comment, I think you're doing a wonderful job. If we might want to look at a slight raise in the rates, we're talking about trying to just put $50,000 in there on guessing at what we can get collected. Well, $50,000 on increasing the rates is almost unnoticeable to people that are paying.
I will, get my numbers from the surrounding counties, and we can compare them. I'll give them to y'all, and y'all can make a decision on what rates you want to increase.
Well, we need to really do this today. I think we just got to either decide, do we want to get 50 more thousand out of increasing rates, which is almost an insignificant amount for the amount of rates that we're talking about, versus guessing at what we can increase our collections.
Mr. Hopkins?
First off, what is the current mileage rate? You know? 17.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems to me that would be the area to increase. I think it's the most justifiable, especially with what you told us about the mileage on our ambulances, if we want to be able to start getting some additional revenue to.
You know, one thing Barnes County does that we don't do is they bill mileage from where they went to go on the call. So like if they left the station, they charge mileage to the residents or the accident scene. And then they charge mileage from the accident scene back to the hospital. Most services don't do that. I don't know if Medicare pays for that, or Medicaid will pay for that, or insurance companies will pay for that.
Well, obviously, if they're doing it, somebody's paying for it, so
Somebody's
it's
paying.
some increase. So I would like to make a motion that we change that practice to, I mean, we're having to pay for it otherwise. I mean, let's be honest. why are we only charging when we pick them up? It cost us to drive to them. Shouldn't they be paying for that? This is fair. I'm not talking about anything underhanded to make an extra buck. It sounds like to me this is legit. So I would like to make that motion that we
Charge both ways.
charging from wherever we are to wherever we get back to the station. I mean, that seems very equitable to me.
I would second that.
Thank you.
That's not really an amendment to the, what you have on the table, right? Is it?
No.
That's pretty separate. So you already have one motion on the floor.
Agreed, but correct me if I'm wrong, the motion is
To approve the
to
budget.
approve the budget. So I would ask that that be rescinded for the moment or withdrawn for the moment so that we can vote on a potentially change here that could increase our revenue for the budget we're about to approve. That's my request.
I want to get to Mr. Morgan. Another idea is to table this for tomorrow. Give you time to come back and rerun the numbers based on an increased rate or increased mileage. I know in the law business, when we go to court, it's from the office to when you return to the office.
Mhm.
You know, that seems to be standard practice. Yes, sir.
So, just play devil's advocate, there's a lot of calls that are third-party calls. Are we gonna bill that homeowner whenever they didn't even call or want the ambulance to begin with?
Explain third-party call to me, what you
So,
mean by.
someone's family member lives in California and they ain't spoke to me in 3 days, so they call 911, get an ambulance, to go do a welfare check on her. And then we're there and there's nothing wrong.
What do we do right now? Just not bill?
Yeah, it's not a bill, it's not a, there's no patient.
That's
Also,
another one of your unanswered calls.
I just received from the billing manager our current rates across the board. And she also said insurance will not pay for unloaded mileage. So if there's not a patient in that truck, insurance is not gonna pay for anything. So it may be, hey, we're gonna send a bill to the patient. If they pay, great. If they don't pay, they may not, you know, it may just be one of those things. that you gotta do.
Something, I'm sorry.
It seems like it's either that or we have to increase the knowledge rate, one of the two, because we're getting hosed in this deal. But not, you know, we don't get paid till we show up, but we've gotten paid to get there. Well, not just.
I mean, so in my mind, this is just me, is county supply the ambulance service as a convenience of, hey, you call 911, you're gonna have an ambulance respond.
No, we do it because we're required to by law. We're not doing it as convenience.
Sure, but ultimately, it's a requirement, it's a
Yes.
required convenience, you know. So I don't, whenever y'all implemented years ago to do the $50 for a lift assist, I thought that was a good service to the county, I'm glad we did away with it. But it's just something else to consider. We do run a lot of calls that are third-party calls.
That's a separate discussion. The last thing I'm just gonna comment on, I apologize for drawing it out, but also keep in mind in August, there should be a decision from Tennessee State Legislature that may allow us to bill incorporated cities for a percentage of our ambulance budget, up to a total, I believe, of 50%. Alaska alone is 10% of the population. Do the math. There's, you know, or sorry, I mean, they are 30%. 30%. They're 30%. So in theory, there's 30% of the budget right there. But we just don't know any of this, so we can't use it right now, but hopefully in August, that's an option. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, Chris kind of hit on it. Since about a year and a half ago, I make a motion to pass resolution to quit charging for lifts. So, and that was, I forget how, back then, how much Bill said that was gonna be. It was some good change.
That's when people fall off their house, need somebody to help them get back in the bed or off the floor. Mrs. Johnson.
So, two things. Where are the fees for the billing company reflected, or is that already taken out when you see the income, projected income?
That's in the data processing fees.
Okay. Are there any grants reflected?
No.
Who else? Given what we talked about, is there a motion to table this to see what this budget would look like if we were to decide to charge for both legs of the trip?
And potentially increase mileage rates.
and potentially increase mileage rate. Look, I know you bent over backwards bringing us what you have here. This is not, we're grateful for it. But if you could also do us that additional service, it may be beneficial to us to help close the remaining gap of 210,000 on the county side by doing this. Thoughts from the committee? Thoughts from anybody? Ms. Jones?
It seems to me like you don't have an ambulance committee. I know you kind of get with extra money from this, but it seems like an ambulance committee maybe could consider maybe several things, that being one.
Any further comment? Mr. Vanderpool?
Heard Chris's statement about that insurance would not pay on that. It's better to only look at the mileage part, or we running a dog up the tree.
I think what we're gonna end up doing is people that don't have insurance, struggle to pay their bills, they're gonna be the ones hit with this.
Not collection.
Me, who has, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I don't get hit with it. So we're hitting the backs of the people who have the least ability to afford it.
Just said insurance companies are paying, so we're not hitting that. We're being fair across the board, charging everybody the same thing.
Insurance companies pay.
Then why is the one county charging? That seems like a phone call.
So putting it up pretty clear.
You could get a kind of average of what they charge and mileage in the surrounding counties and
That would be appreciated. I just
under and maybe adjust them to the highest point.
definitely to a higher point. So I'm just trying to be equitable. It's not trying to gouge somebody. It's, we're paying it to get there, but we don't get to charge for anything for it. That's not just. We're fair.
Dr. Lathrop?
What is the motion?
The motion and second is to approve the budget as submitted.
I call that we call the question.
All right, 2/3 majority is required to call the question. Mr. Jones, did you?
I thought
Let me
there was
skip
another amendment. Something,
I call,
I'll pull my second on the amendment.
let's go with.
All right. All in favor of calling the question on this, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
One no,
No.
two no's. So that is, still 2/3 majority. 5 of 7 is 2/3, right? So we call the question. We'll go to a roll call vote on the ambulance budget as submitted. Any objection to where we are procedurally?
You're right.
Okay. Do a roll call. Dr. Lathrop,
yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
No.
Mr. Hopkins,
No.
Mrs. Jones.
Uh,
I'll vote yes. Ms. Schools,
Yes.
so that is 5 yeses, 2 noes. Thank you, Walter. I'd like to accomplish Highway Department and Sheriff's Department. They've both been waiting patiently. Let's take up Highway. That is the teal tab 131.
Teal.
Turquoise.
Teal. Teal's a duck.
Oh, it is. Learn something every
I
day.
don't. I guess that's the color of the duck. Yeah, it's a teal.
Okay.
It's teal.
Just as a reminder, I said this at the very first of today's meeting, the highways budget is proposing, well, we know that they have acknowledged they're gonna only be able to pay 40 miles of road as opposed to their goal of 70 last year. There's also a shortfall of 446,000 that they are proposing to cover with their fund balance. I just have to point out, this is the one exception to everything we talked about. This violates our balanced budget policy by allowing a pull from fund balance. I at first did not think this. I thought, well, so long as we're not pulling from our fund balance to cover a shortfall, then we're structurally balanced. But we reviewed the policy, basically trying to figure out, okay, if we let the highway cover this 446 shortfall of theirs with their fund balance, the way that our policy is written, it does violate that. Is that fair to say, Beth?
That is fair to say. And again, that goes back to Graham and I had a conversation yesterday. Then we also looked at the policy. I guess my thoughts were we just kind of applicable to county budget. So, you know, and I just want to point out too, going back to what the shortfall, it's, you all remember last year, $450,000 pulled out of the highway budget into the capital projects budget. Okay, we knew we were gonna be here. If there's anybody that I guess is surprised that we're here, then I don't know where you were last year, because we're right back where we were, with that. And so we're here, it is in violation of our policy. I know Graham sent that out to you all. I'm sure you all have reviewed it as well. And, you know, it's, because the highway equipment, we did that last year, and it's been reoccurring. Sorry about it, it is, I had records to go back, so it is a reoccurring expenditure. And, the need is still there, and here we are. So, you know, as far as the policy, you know, I suppose we'll can do a motion to acknowledge and you're violating the policy and go on with it. But it does state in there that I have to, notify you of that, to notify the financial management committee. So here we are with that, so.
Mr. Reed, if you have a question.
Yes, Ben. Now, if that's because he has taken capital expenditure out of fund balance.
That's because he's taking a reoccurring expenditure out of fund balance.
Out of his.
And so, and it, according to policy, you know, it was listed on that, the policy, and it referenced like your reoccurring capital expenditure, like your patrol car, like your highway equipment, like your rebound.
Right.
So those are the, according to the policy, those will be considered reoccurring expenditures according to policy. So I just had to, you know, after reviewing that policy, this budget is in violation of that. However, I mean, you know, that's up to you all how you see fit, but you just, I have to make you aware of it. And I made Gene aware of it this morning. For something, Gene's responsibility is to bring his needs. And obviously, putting the equipment back in his budget is his need. And it's up to you all to figure out how we're moving from here.
Okay, so what are some suggestions as to how we do that? I mean, is there manipulation to get us around audit findings such as putting this capital cost right into his budget and then taking out some other cost later that he could pull out of fund balance? I mean, we've got a list of rules of what we can pull out of fund balance.
The policy is a local policy. Now, audit could be a stickler and fine us, or not fine us, but or give us an audit fine as for not following our own policies. However, I mean, I think whenever it was first originally adopted, I think it was kind of also made mention that there probably first year or so we would not be able to be followed. So I don't know. This is new territory for me too. Like I said, I had to revisit it myself and realize that it did apply to Gene and the highway budget. So I told you how much I've been with it, but I don't know. I don't know other than the acknowledgement of it. I think would be beneficial.
You're right. The policy was written to break the bad habit of dipping into savings when our expenses exceeded our revenues. One option that occurs to me, I don't know if this is really fixed, included in this shortfall of what was, you know, 210,000 are the tier one nonprofit, fire and rescue, which is at 263,000 of a budget. If we were to, and Beth, I don't want to get us off track, but my thought is if we're going to act as if we need to structurally balance the budget, including the 446 shortfall, we may be able to,
Different funds.
my thought was, yeah, if the library's fire and rescue and chamber, which we've now considered recurring,
It references them to the policy.
it references it too. Okay, you're talking about a way to,
I read through it yesterday and I was trying to myself to find solutions. And I think that's the whole purpose of the policy, so you don't find those loopholes.
Right.
I mean, and honestly, the policy, I mean, is a very structured, well-written policy. And it should keep us all accountable. But I was trying to find little small outlets too, and it's framework where there's not any outlets, because it did reference the libraries and those things as well. So basically, anything reoccurring is in violation of policy. And after last year is the whole reason why the policy was created, to keep us from doing those repetitive same things that we did last year.
So what we did last year is in violation of the policy where we paid the cost of the truck out of 180.
we have violated that policy in all years in recent memory.
After last year's budget, then the policy was created to keep us from doing it again.
Right.
Here we are right
So
back. in
right
the
back
same
trying to
thing.
figure out, okay.
Yes.
Get it.
Yes.
I know, Aaron, did you have something? And then we got Mr. Wilburn.
Back on Beth's comment about acknowledging, if we do elect to take the 426 from their fund balance, I do think, acknowledging and voting on that acknowledgement I would think that would cover an audit finding. I mean, I'm not in favor of it, but just covering ourselves for audit.
One way to look at this is we are very close to structurally balancing the county budget, with the exception of the highway. We know how big their needs are and how expensive everything is. Mr. Jones, then Mr. Wilburn.
Well, the 446,000 shortfall, if that were added into it, does that increase the maintenance of effort on the highway department?
Theirs is a 5-year average.
Right.
So
Would that increase the 5-year average?
we're not giving any additional revenue.
No, it would, okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept, as presented, this highway department budget. Mr. Barnacle, has put it together. And, maybe we need to, acknowledge it, it goes against our financial policy, whatever. But, sometimes that policy might be pushing us into a higher, to increase taxes, so one fan of it.
I will second that. More than anything, I wanted to walk away and say, hey, we finally structurally balanced the budget. It just doesn't seem to be possible. I mean, unless, at this time, it doesn't seem possible to me. So I'll second that, to approve this as is, with the acknowledgement that them dipping into their fund balance, $446,000, does violate our internal policy, our local policy. Mr. Will,
That policy was in place through financial management. And I voted against it because I knew what tie your hands whenever you needed anything, just like we talked about right now. And you was on the tubes, and I think we need to revisit that and change our policy.
thank you. Who else? Mr. Warren.
Gene, $450,000 for equipment. How'd you come up with that number?
Well, I need a $204,000 tractor now. And then, about anything, whether it be a truck, whether it be another tractor, I'm still running another older tractor, a spare tractor that we're running in the fleet now. So, that's basically, and the equipment, that we need. I know I got another piece of equipment coming down the line, about $500,000 piece that it's been here several years. But, just the equipment, just average, what equipment costs from a backhoe to a spreadsheet. So that's where we're at.
Same thought, is there anything building that fund balance?
Building,
Yeah, is there anything flowing into that, any interest income, is there anything building that?
No, so,
Well, I don't know till I.
but asking, they're going through this, I'm glad you covered that, because something that needs to be addressed, so if you all do approve this budget, and for Gene's sake and the highway operations, I do hope that you do. However, I'm looking at Ms. Lois to make sure this gets put in the minutes. This is not a good trajectory. We cannot sustain many years of this, or he's gonna have a zero fund balance, and we're gonna be back to where we were. So please put that in the minutes, because it will happen. Gene will only have probably maybe a year or two or budget cycles, and he's going to be broke unless something wonderful happens and we get some new revenue for the highway department. Gene is, like I've said, in highway, he is going to utilize every dollar he can to pave a road. That's his style of doing things, and I think I commend him for that. But we've got to make sure that we're understanding this is still a Band-Aid. We've not fixed our problem for the highway department.
Got Mr. Carpenter and then member of the public.
Gene, this road that you're talking about paving, this paving that you are talking about doing this next year. Is it a road that we need to pave, or is it one that's?
What road, I mean, are you just talking about any road?
With your paving, yes. Sir.
Yeah, I mean, no, we don't pave roads that don't need it.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying, I know we've got you're saying 40 miles of road.
Right, and that's, we're fixing to open our quotes next week, our bids, and we'll know exactly where, but from where our oil prices is going, fuel prices is going, we're gonna go from
70 to 40.
70 to 40. And I'll just tell you, I got over 70 right now on the list that we can go do tomorrow if we had the money.
Yeah.
It's the money situation. It's not, yes, we don't have a breakdown and stuff, but, and the turnover is what's so bad with our ship sea roads. Anyway. They there to be done.
We have Judy, Mr. Reedy, then Mr. Jones. I'd like to get the member of the public's comment though. Yes, sir.
When you sell these, old pieces of equipment and you put them on gov deals, instead of putting that money in the general fund, why can't you put that in the equipment fund, make it an equipment fund for that only? Put that money back toward buying new equipment.
Which our money, it will go back to our fund balance.
Well, I heard it went to the general fund, but what I'm saying is put that money that comes from the gov deals in a separate fund specifically for buying new equipment.
We budget the sale of equipment in the highway revenue, and also we budget for it, and also the highway money is still the highway money. So there's just not the sale of the equipment is not going into the county's coffers, it's going into the highway coffers. So in essence, it's part of their fund balance, and so that's how that comes from. So it's still there. I mean, if you do it in a separate fund, it would take years for it to build up, for it to actually be valuable enough to be able to turn around and buy anything.
No problem.
Thank you for that. Ms. Pruitt, then Mr. Reedy, then Mr. Jones, then Ms. Close.
This is a very difficult question to ask. But if we're only gonna pay 40 miles of road, do we still need the same number of employees?
Yes.
What are they gonna do if they can pay?
There is ditches. I mean, anybody can ride up Shady Lane and Haywood from last week, and there is ditches and pipes stopped up everywhere. We have got tree limbs that's literally growing in on top of the road. It's once a week we get calls about, limbs hitting school buses, etc. We have got all kind of work. Yes,
That
ma'am.
we've not been able to do.
Yes, ma'am.
If we're paving,
Right.
we can do now.
Right. Where it used to back in the day, before my time, there was some extra help around, but now that we've got 35 employees there, which that's actually in the workforce, it's tough when we're paving, you know, and then when you got two or three that's out or whatever, on vacation, whatever the case may be, you know, it shuts us down to pretty much do our bush hogging and paving, and nothing else is being done. So that's put up all those things put on the back burner.
Mr. Reedy?
Yes. I don't know where we go from this, but we're kind of pushing the highway department into a death spiral. It's exactly what we're doing. In '02, we had nearly 40%, 30-something% of the roads were dirt roads. A lot of people like to say they're gravel roads. But when it rains, the gravel goes into the dirt roads. So it's gone. So, I don't, and when he drops back to 30 miles of road, to repave, then he's repaving roads that need paving now. When he gets through with that 30, the ones that he hadn't planned on paving, it's gonna be there. So to say that you need more people, when your roads get in worse shape, you have to have more people, more effort to patch stuff. So you're patching things. So, you know, this is a, how can we get by solution for this year? And we'll worry about it next year. I mean, how many years we'll get by with it. But that is a solution, a problem. You know, I don't know. We have to go back to 189 one more time to get us by this year. But it's a get by kind of solution. And we have got to get serious about long-term solution to this problem instead of just figuring out 1 year to the next and fooling and robbing people's departments.
Yes, sir.
That is something may not help in the solution right now today. It's something everybody's coming in new next year. Better keep this on your mind.
And I'm glad that some of our prospective commissioners are here to understand and better understand this context. I wish more of them were here. There's gonna be folks coming in not realizing how we're putting the highway in a death spiral.
Yeah,
To use your,
I do appreciate the ones that's here. I see a lot of people that's running, planning on big things, and I haven't seen their faces yet. So,
we have Mr. Jones, then Ms. Goolsby, then Mr. Kemp.
Gene, I know with, East Tennessee still tore up, grants are few and far between. Have you heard anything of getting any more grants, or are they pursuing them?
No, I mean, yes, technically we're pursuing a grant, federal grant, getting started going now, but it's basically, it's not on help with roads, it's a safety grant, guardrail and stuff like that, but, and we are being told that, you know, far as on our, big drive, high priority bridge,
Right.
that's gonna be turned loose, and we got one on Big Drive. And, that should be turned loose this next fiscal year, hopefully to get funding for that. You know, they have stopped that during the East Tennessee projects and all that, but we're being told that that will be released.
So one of the reasons I bring that up is just for public knowledge, knowing that if East Tennessee tore up, we have to kind of have a salt chart for East Tennessee.
Yeah, so,
We're looking at wanting to pave road, they're just wanting to have a road.
yes.
So that's cut us short by not getting those, as much state aid money as we think we probably could.
Thank you. Ms. Goolsby.
Gene, on, bridge construction and state aid projects, why have they increased 450,000?
The funds has rolled over, like the state aid projects. We are, the bridge construction, what we do, that money is rolled over every, last year, on the paving side of it, the 450,000. No, the 461, I'm sorry, the 461, we get 212,000 from state aid every year. And I didn't use that last year. So I'm gonna roll that over and be able to use it this year. Same way with our bridge funding. as well.
And look at page one, that's a good point to bring up, is that this is not an increase to the budget, but page one, you'll see under other state Tennessee, right in the middle, you got bridge program and you've got state aid program. And you'll look and those numbers are reflected on your expenditures, so it's just a wash.
Okay. Second, you said the tractor's 205. Even if you averaged it up to 230, why not just stop there for now and leave it in the fund balance? Why can't we, or is a going over budget $1 the same as going over budget 400,000? Does that make sense? Would we get less of a slap?
No, either way, it's gonna be over.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, either way, it's over. As far as on the rule that we're passed upon it.
Richard, you have some?
The top 3 ways the highway department generates revenue.
Great question. So,
Go for it.
so on your local taxes, like 3.9 million is budgeted. And we receive a combination of about 2.8 million from the state, and we receive those through the state aid programs, bridge program, that's what we were talking about. And we also receive the gas and motor fuel tax, so that was a huge revenue for the highway. So we received those. So mostly for us in Giles, your local taxes is what it drives it. But you also have those the people in state funds, so. Good question.
And Ms. Curry, then Ms. Valentine.
Yeah, talking about grants, I just wanted to point out that Congress is in the midst of working on a new transportation bill right now. And it includes a lot of grant programs. The House has included, the President didn't include, but the House is included. Hopefully the Senate will be on board. But they also project more bridge money in this transportation bill. So hopefully that's going to funnel down to local governments. But the grants need to stay in this transportation bill. So I encourage y'all to reach out to our reps and senators to approve the transportation bill
And
with
that's-
grants.
And hopefully that happens, Aaron. I mean, just to tell y'all, and I think some of you was at the highway committee meeting, we've got a bridge on the north end, Lock Road, priority 1. We're probably good. I met with TDOT guys, came down, we went over them, and it will be inspected again in 2 years, but they asking for it to be replaced. That's $1 million. Anyway, I've got 2 more that's on priority 2. So, anyway, that's where we are in any grant. And hopefully bridge, we need help with bridges.
Yeah, I know that the bridges are a focus for Congress in this transportation bills. Hopefully it'll happen.
Needs to be.
Ms. Valentine.
I just have 2 suggestions and they may be crazy and I don't know any better, but is there any way, maybe it's liability, that you can actually hire out to do driveways and things to bring in revenue? I'm sure there's reasons you can't, but we can't really find a paver, and it would be great to just think in a minute, they could come make a little driveway, make a few $1,000, they bring driveway. Is that unreasonable?
See, you get into getting on private property at that time, which, we got a road list, and we get off the right of way, then we.
Even if it's like razors and things like that, it's income. And my other thought is mowing. I love that things are nice and mowed, but I could do without our little country road being mowed if that's gonna save anything.
See, that's another thing, that's a state law. And I think Matthew brought this up once before, about maybe even cutting back our mowing or not mowing at all, like you're saying, but it is a state law. If you go down that road that's not been mowed in a deer or a dog or a cow runs out in front of it and you couldn't see because the bush is hanging out in the road, if you wanna keep digging, you can get back to the
I'm
home.
just curious, thank you.
Yeah.
Very educated.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Adams.
I just want to ask, I know we're battling a money problem. What if we took 2 pennies out of the county journal fund and put it into the guild department? What would that do to it?
Wouldn't that put us short that same amount?
Right now, it's, oh, it is.
Believe it or not, David, some people may think
Yes, that's what we
that
do.
that's crazy, but I thought of the same thing a while ago, and me and Beth sort of talked some aside. Really, at the end of the day, it's just moving one deficit to another place, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all still washed out, but I did think that.
They would need 4.5 of our pennies. Then we would be short that money.
Yes, you would be
On
short.
the gap that we've been working on closing
I
otherwise.
mean, cause really, ultimately, at the end of the day, we need 12.3 pennies.
What did you say there?
We need, before the school, 5, we needed 12.3 pennies.
Well, you know, we can sit here and argue, but we done okayed 2 or 3 budgets, and if we keep okaying budget, we ain't got but one choice. That's a property tax rate. I am not gonna vote for no property tax increase.
All right, anybody else?
Evan, there's.
Mr. Jones, then the lady here.
You know, you and I have talked about this budget just a little bit. We're sitting there $426,000. You know your budget better than we do. Is there anything else I have to ask?
You know, there's not, Terry. I mean, not us try to do half of what we're doing. I mean, it's not, you know, and and just like what we've said, you know, I know pulling it out of our budget, our fund balance is not the correct way to do it. But it's a Band-Aid to send it on down the road. That's not the right thing, you know, just what little bit I've been in this, I saw, you know, that's happened in the past and sooner or later it all comes in. But, that's the only way I see to do it without having to come, you know.
One thing that makes the highway department budget a little different than I would say schools and county, you know, so much of their budget is based on capital needs, paving roads, equipment, et cetera. If his cash balance gets too low, he'll just stop paving. He'll stop sending out equipment and he'll just be to stand still. That is one luxury the highway department has that the rest of the departments do not have. However, that still is not a fair assessment to not giving him the what he needs to operate and being able to maintain the roads he has. But that does give him a little bit of a leg up that he can control that at any time if he needs to. And there's been times in the past with the highway department, they couldn't pay for any during the months of the summer because there was a cash shortage. We don't want to see us get to that again, but if it has to, it has to.
Member of the public, yes, ma'am.
So all I hear is, let's build up Giles County, let's bring in economic development, let's get some tax revenue out on interstate. So in saying that and hearing that, how can you expect to generate all this new jobs when you're gonna let the roads go? I don't have an answer for that, but I'm just throwing it out.
There's no doubt that pain will be felt just simply with the reduction of mileage being paid for this next fiscal year. Mr. Wilburn, then Mr. Adams.
All right, on equipment and machinery for it's equipment. What does that consist of? You know, is that just parts for your equipment?
That's that, I mean, that's our line repairs, shop line.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, is it was like a piece of equipment, you can kind of as a capital purchase and take it out of your general fund of your own.
Yeah, it's maintenance, that's what it is. You know, in which, and you can see I added some to that from last time, because the cost of everything. You know, and breakdown, so, I mean, just, everything we doing is just, I mean, you all know.
I was just looking at a way
Yeah,
to use
I
it
know.
as a capital purchase.
Yeah.
Mr. Adams, then Mr. Hopkins.
Well, I can remember, I don't know if Gene can or not, but more people in here might remember what ran the highway department as an entrance off the hospital. So, remember that road? Yeah. And, they didn't have anything, got.
Sure, we haven't raised taxes, so we used the hospital money to replace, needs for taxes. We've gone from, 38% dirt roads to just probably about 10%.
Oh, yeah,
Less than 10% dirt roads. With hospital money, so we've progressed the county with the hospital.
We have Mr. Hopkins, then Mr. Jones, then Mr. Womble. We're running out of time to get to sheriff's department. We're gonna have to vote on the highway. Mr. Hopkins.
147 truck drivers, we added over 60,000 for that. We hired that additional person or? Yeah, line up 147.
Are you looking at the estimated, is that reflected on the estimated actual?
Yeah, whether I can estimate or go, yeah, estimated actual.
Estimated actual, if that's just the fake, they have no vacancies, don't put any all of it.
Yes, we're happy that they're coming in at the labor and.
Okay.
There's no additional staffing at all.
Okay. Yeah, looking at the number, it's additional. What money?
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Tracy brought it up a few minutes ago about the policy. Came up in financial management. If Gene's okay with moving $427,000, I'm okay with, but like Tracy said, we need to revisit that policy. Because it did, like Tracy said, and I remember Tracy voted against it. And what I'm looking at is trying to get a balance, but for this year. We need to be looking at things that's gonna not cripple us, we need to be looking at things for the next season. Day one, something good, but
Mr. Womble.
Gene is okay with the 427. Then I would be okay. Make the motion, pull the 447, amend the motion, pull 427 of his fund.
That is the motion to approve this as it's stated, which includes him pulling
Okay.
that 447 from his fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Womble.
Notice the dates across the top of this page are wrong, 23, 24. I'm assuming the numbers on them are right. Is that fair? 63, 100, 368, 728.
Right, the last page, the heading says 23, 24.
Is the heading wrong, but the rest of the numbers are correct?
Yes, it's good. I didn't say that.
Ms. Pruitt.
It's also wrong in the header.
Yes, that's what we're.
Oh,
Right,
and
that last page, I agree.
But it is correct. The numbers.
They're down there.
Ms. Pruitt, you had a question?
This may be a stupid question. When we changed the tax rate, did we not increase the highway collections by about $143,000?
Look at here.
No.
This is back.
You're saying it changed the value of the penny?
Yes.
That first vote we had this
Yeah.
morning?
Will that not
Slightly.
help offset the 400 and?
That's why it's down 426,799 versus the 446.
Okay. Okay, I just missed, okay.
So we reduced it by $20,000.
Yes. And we'll get everybody a new clean copy of this one.
Yes.
And change the heading.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We've had a lot of discussion. Any further discussion or public comment? All right, we're gonna move to a roll call vote on the highway department. Where we will acknowledge that this violates our balanced budget policy, financial management policy. Ready? Dr. Lathrop?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Adams? Mr. Hopkins?
No.
Mrs. Jones?
Uh,
I'll vote yes. Ms. Goolsby?
Yes.
That is 6-1, Mr. Hopkins saying. Thank you, Gene. Before we get into sheriff's budget, what are y'all's thoughts on keeping the meetings here tomorrow as opposed to the courthouse? I think I have a question of whether we can do that because we noticed public that the meeting is there.
I think we need to go over with public notice.
Okay, we got two saying we can't do it. That was kind of my inclination as well.
It's already been advertised.
And it's
We
been
have-
advertised.
yeah,
I agree.
we got to see it.
Let's get to sheriff's department.
Yes.
Do we have public comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there was some people, they were in court yesterday and they said the air wasn't working.
Oh, it's 80 plus degrees in the courthouse. So speaking of feeling pain, dress in layers tomorrow. It's gonna be hot. Mr. Womble. Mr. Womble has an announcement before we get to sheriff's department as well.
Just quick announcement, talking to Natalie and Crystal and Graham, I'm going to contact some rental companies that rent portable air conditioners. Graham told me to take the lead on this and meet with them. I'm gonna try to do that this afternoon and try to figure out some way to give them some relief. I've never personally rented an air conditioner, but I know people who do rent them. So I'm gonna try to find some type of option for it.
Well, and I was in court yesterday for a criminal matter, and the judge essentially ordered me to invite you all to court yesterday because it was so hot. And she wanted everybody to know what it felt like. They had a rape trial a week and a half ago involving horrific facts, and the jury, members of our community, had to sit there in 80-degree. It's hotter upstairs in the courthouse than it is outside.
Sure.
Because heat rises, right?
It was yesterday. And anything we find an option, I think I'll have to ask the commission to approve it.
Thank you. All right, let's turn to the sheriff's department budget, which is located page 12. Thank you, Ms. Curry. All right, beginning with courtroom security. Everybody with us on page 12. We take these separately, right?
You guys have in the past, I mean, it's just whatever you want to do.
We have a
Motion to approve.
motion to approve, second by Ms. Goolsby, the courtroom security budget bracket. I'm seeing a decrease of $23,000.
It's just moving staffing around. Typically, the courthouse is where we put the more trainees go first, so it's just a staff change there. It has nothing to do with actually cutting anything. It's just who the current officers are at that time, we do the budget and what their salaries are. So you may see some reflections of increases down in the other deputy line, but depending on where the staffing was at the time.
Lois, you got the motion in second, right? Look, I don't want to rush through the sheriff's department just because we have a hard deadline to be out of here and we got to even see meeting at 12. But if we can get through, great. Mr. Jones.
I think it's gonna be easy to rush to it when everything over here is lower than it was last year.
I'm with, I mean, that certainly helps.
If I could just,
Please, Sheriff Burks.
so, I need $6.1 million to run the sheriff's office this year, of county money. That's it in a nutshell. It is a reduction from last year's county. I'm cutting the grant funds out when I say 6.1. That's county money. But, I went through line by line. There are, you'll see several lines that are reductions. And until I had to put the cars back in because the cars were in 180, whatever capital. Yeah, when I put the cars and I cut the amount of cars, we were getting 4 cars, we're getting 3 in this budget. So I reduced, I'm trying to be a good partner. Everybody in here wants to do what's best for the county and I'm just trying to make it easier on you guys. Reduce the amount of vehicles, put that money back in the budget and it's real close. It's not a little bit over last year's, but it's really based on the cars. I'll tell you this, there's a 2 and whatever % cost of living raise in there. I cut lines in the budget to offset the cost of living and try to offset the cars, but we came in a little bit over once I put the cars in. I negotiated with our inmate medical company I wasn't happy with the level of care the inmates were getting, and I wasn't really happy with the company in general, just to be honest with you. They had sent me a notification of a 4% rate increase this year. So we put it out for RFPs, negotiated with, a new company. There's a little bit of a reduction in that, you'll see, but that's just to put it simply, there's $27,000 a month goes to inmate medical, all right? That was gonna increase. I negotiated with a new company. We're still gonna pay $27,000 a month, but we also got, electronic coding, the coding for the nursing staff, which is figured into that. And it makes it easier when we have to produce documents for a lawsuit, which happens from time to time. Those medical records, if they're electronic, it's a lot easier on the nursing staff. And it's a lot easier when it comes time to produce documents, just to be honest with you. So for the same money, we got a new company and electronic chart, if that's makes sense. Sheriff's Department on every level that you would measure us, is winning. I say winning, exceeding expectations, on the standards that we're measured by. The only place we're lacking is response times. Response times in the county are a lot longer than I'd like them to be. I can tell you how you fix that. More deputies, more cars. I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for a helicopter because we can't afford it. I think you would give it to me if we had the money. We just don't. So what I've given you is the best budget I can give, with the most amount of cuts that I can make.
And we thank you for that. Comments, questions? We have a motion and a second.
I just have a weird question.
Yeah. Weird questions, welcome.
On the medical for this inmate, do we bill their insurance if they have insurance?
So I actually talked to legislators this year. I'd like to see the state pass a law that sheriff's offices statewide are only going to pay Medicaid rates. All right. There's some insurances that will pay, but most won't pay when you're incarcerated. And if you're on like 10 care or disability, they cut that off when you go into custody. If you take the math, I gave you $27,000 a month and multiply it by 12, you come up with about 324-ish. That's what our contract with the medical provider is. The other 120 is what I refer to as a cost pool. All right. So that cost pool is a moving target. And that's where inmate x-rays, lab, pharmaceuticals, and send outs. If they got to go to Murray Regional, they got to go to St. Thomas, or they got to go wherever, that 120 is that cost pool. So the answer to the question is no, not regularly. They don't, but we pay. And I said to you that I wasn't happy with the level of care. That doesn't mean they get elective procedures. It's only what's required to relieve significant pain or threaten your life, right? So it's not like you go in there and get a crown, or you go in there and get some kind of elective procedure. It's only what's required. Where we get beat up is when they go to they get beat up where it gets expensive is if they go to St. Thomas or Vanderbilt. Those bills can be anywhere from 500 to 800% above Medicaid rates. That's a lot. And so we negotiate with them, and even if you get it down to 300% above Medicaid rates, that's still a win, but man, it's more than it should be. And so what I was talking to Representative Doggett about in the Sheriff's Association, I'd like to see North Carolina did this. North Carolina passed the law, Sheriff's Office inmates, we pay Medicaid rates. So that's down the road. You'll see an increase in our revenues a little bit. I don't know if they can see that, but inmate boarding, we get paid $41 a day to house state inmates. That's up a little bit. There was legislation on the floor this year to raise it to 48. I think it failed because that's taking money away from TDOC, Department of Corrections. But you'll see a little bit of an uptick in our, so to generate revenue, we can house inmates, state inmates, not county inmates. And we can, commissary, there's commissions on our commissary, there's commissions on our telephone calls, there's commissions on our email.
Where are your where are the revenues at?
So, the revenue he's talking about right now is on page 4. Other state revenue is, prison boarding is 46915. We increased the budget from 455,600 to 650 based upon the collection. It's a big jump there.
That all goes, that just offs, you know what I mean, like, come back to me, it goes into the general. But anyway, commissary commissions, phone calls and tablet commissions. And then there's, court costs, there's like $10 for every paper we serve. So those are revenues that somebody asked a question earlier about how does each department generate revenue? Those are some revenues that the sheriff generates. Those are up this year, which is good. I think you'll see the pretty, I don't want to call it significant, but you'll see a commissary. So I went with a new vendor for commissary. The old vendor was charging, their piece of the commission was pretty exorbitant. When we change inmate vendors for commissary, by law, we have to give the first option to the blind, Tennessee Blind Enterprises. It's a law. They got the contract as opposed to, let me just give you an example. If you bought a pack of ramen noodles on commissary as an inmate and it cost you $4, a piece of that $4 comes back to the county and a piece goes to the vendor. That other company, every individual item had a percentage that was going to their commission, if you will. The blind enterprises, it's a flat $2 an order. All right, you order 50 packs of ramen. There's one thing, but you order 50 packs of ramen. Sheriff's office gets $2. It's a flat fee. All right. I was real reluctant to do this because I don't really like it, but I added these nicotine pouches to commissary. There's no spitting. It's not tobacco. It is addictive, and I'm trying to get people away from addictions. But other jails are doing it, and it's been successful. That's $4 of commission, so that's additional revenue that comes back to the county. Because I'm trying to. You all passed a resolution that raised the sex offender registering fee to $200. That's another revenue source for the sheriff. We're trying to do our part. We don't make money. I'm just telling you. All right, we talk, but we're trying to do what we can to offset the cost. Any questions about any of that?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Just informational question. You base your state inmates on openings, right? If you're at capacity with residential residents at county.
You guys mind if I sit down? We disrespectful. This is a long night. If I can sit down, it would help me. But yeah, so I'll tell you, we're at 150, our average daily population, and 100. We're always around 150 ADP, average daily population. Our certified bed count's 126. All right, so we're always overpopulated. Sheriff in Lawrence County always has about 80 beds free. I don't know how he does it. He says the sessions judge won't put anybody in jail. I don't know if that's true or not, but he always has 80 beds open. And he always will send an email out to the Sheriff's Association and say, anybody got any state inmates they want to get rid of? Because he'll take it, because he's making $40 a day off of them. I don't have that ability. I don't have the space. But I think to answer your question is I hover around 20, 25 state inmates, and they'll call me and say, I want these 6, and they give me names, right? And that's based on when beds open in a prison. Just recently they called me the list, and I have the ability to say no to some degree. There's a young man that's working on that wood crew that I really want to stay here, and he wanted to stay here, and so I took him off that with it. And it's got to be replaced, put somebody else. But if we had more space in our jail, I would house more state prisoners.
Mr. Vanderbilt, is part of your overpopulation due to this decree we're under and the probations issues and whatnot?
No, so when we had, and that's a good question, when we had county probation, some of you were on the commission then, and we were under a continuous plan of action with the state because our population numbers were in the 220s. There were days when we had 220 inmates in the county jail in a 126 bed facility. So we were about to get decertified by the state during that same time. So we were looking at building, there was some of you I know were on the commission, and there was a STAR commission that the state came down and said, here's, and what it was, the direction we were heading was building $30 million jail. So the probation lawsuit, I'd love to talk to you about probation, because we need, all right, but we can only do it a certain way now. The way it was being done, we were headed towards a $30 million jail. But, so we lost revenue in probation cost fines, but it was offset by no longer having the need to build a $30 million jail. If that is, I still think we need probation. In the way the federal system does it, no, we're getting way off track, but the way the federal system does it, if you owe court costs and fines, they don't jail you over what they call LFOs, legal financial obligations. They don't jail you for that. They sue you, all right, and they attach your put a lien on your property, or if you win the lottery, they get it or whatever. That's the way the county could do it. And yeah, that's if it's legal action.
But you're saying it's kind of the catch-22, and we had that, and it's my understanding we're losing upwards, or not losing, but there's upwards of $400,000 that's not being collected in court costs and fees because of the decree that we're under, which is basically to perpetuity, which I don't understand that either. And then I'm hearing one reason why we're not ready to fight that is just what it would cost to fight it with a federal attorney and so on and so forth. But you're also saying that those that were in place, or we were still in that might account for more jailing.
Yeah,
and a larger jail.
Sheriff sent me to all those, the federal election when that was happening, and so I was in federal court quite a bit during that. And what, this is, I guess, to put it simply, if you are indigent, or if you're on any type of social security or any type of government assistance, you automatically qualify as indigent, and you don't have to pay your legal financial. And so because of a lot of people that could pay and did pay were paying because they didn't want to go to jail. But with the under that decree, if you're on any kind of social security or any kind of government assistance, you automatically qualify as indigent and you don't have to pay. But think about it like this: if you owe the county $1,200 in court costs, or $500, let's say you owe the county $500 in court costs, and I jail you for a month at a cost of $40 a day, we're at about $1,700 plus your $500 that I didn't get. So now we're $2,000 in the hole, chasing 500, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is where I don't like it. If I drive through your gate, all right, and I'm indigent under those conditions, I don't have to pay you restitution. So this is where it really hurts. The person who gets their purse stolen, or their car vandalized, or their gate crashed, there's no repercussion for the person who did it. And there's no mechanism for that victim to get restitution, their costs back. That's where I think on the note of cost to the county, it'd be hiring a couple probation officers, it'd be staff, funding their operations, and then the legal cost of challenging the decree. But there was no sunset negotiated, so it's in perpetuity unless somebody challenges it.
Mr. Womble, then we have the member of the public.
You're asking for 3 cars in this budget?
Yes.
Is that based on your need for 3 cars yearly, or
I need 4, but I can get by with 3.
do we have any other option to fund some of these cars?
Any other options? Like, would you make another fund? You're asking?
Sure.
And 171 is down to around 200 some odd thousand. Projected balance of 272,000. And that's all that's in there. There's 189.
3 cars is $180,000.
I mean, 189, well, we've been trying to use that as a savings fund.
Wouldn't that be in violation of our rule? Our next amendment, so we can't, well, I'm gonna try to follow the rule. I mean, somebody else doesn't want to, that's fine.
I'm with Mr. Hopkins. For violating it as to one department, that's one thing. But if we're spreading out this violation across the other departments, I think we're getting further away from breaking the bad habit of dipping into savings. But that's just my personal opinion.
Just start discussion.
No, I think it's great. And I appreciate you asking about the additional car. especially if it's to improve response times. I know that y'all have needs from a courtroom security, courthouse security perspective. I know the needs. I appreciate the sheriff bringing us he acknowledges that we're just trying to get through this budget year and hope things improve otherwise. What further comments or questions do we have? Yes, sir, you had something?
Yeah, I noticed on, county donated a, log splitter to y'all. And you had a work crew out cutting wood.
Yes, sir.
What? Well, this is just a thought now, to take the work crews and cut up trees for the highway department so they can be busy on something else. And y'all could sell that wood instead of just giving it away. I mean, it's something.
I appreciate where you're going with that, but I don't want to go to prison. All right, so if I make money off of inmate labor or not personally, but
I didn't know that.
there's a real fine line between what you can do with inmates and what you can't.
I didn't know
But
that.
it's a great, people ask, hey, come cut them out of my yard, I'll take it, and I can't, so thank you. I should say too that, I'm in the process of applying for another federal grant. And the reason that I'm applying for that, just so you all know, it won't really change any of this, but it's for more, jail programs, all right, and so people think, oh, that's a bunch of crap. Well, here's the reality. In a year, we've reduced our recidivism rate by over 20%. And so if I can reduce the amount of people that come back to jail, that reduces the burden on the taxpayers, and that's what that's about. So anyway.
Mr. Jones.
Joe, I have to ask this.
Yeah.
I know you got on here 3 cars per year. You want to try to keep it the same number each year. Where would 2 cars per year put you? That puts you, and 10 years down the road, would that put?
Yeah, so what, that's a good question. What you're gonna see there is, higher maintenance costs, right? And so most of our cars, when we roll them off, these are gasoline powered cars and they get treated rough, price, to be honest with you. But when we roll them off, they're in the, I got some with 200,000 miles on them. And that's one thing to drive to the grocery store, but a different thing when it's an emergency vehicle. So yeah, it'll put me farther behind the curve. Four's the place, but I can do it this year with 3.
Anything further? I appreciate everything that's been said and Sheriff for his leadership. We're gonna go to a vote.
Yeah, are we gonna?
Do we do have the motion in second.
Yes, I had the motion.
Beth, do you have something?
Are we doing all of it, the sheriff, or just doing just?
Courtroom security is what the motion was made on.
All right, so we'll take that first. Courtroom security. Sorry. I had it. I jumped back.
Page 12.
All right, we're on page 12, top left column.
I'd like to read that motion, do all of page 12.
All right, we have a motion to combine, since we have discussed essentially all aspects of the sheriff's department. Seconded by Ms. Jones. Any discussion on the amendment to combine? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we're basically looking at all of page 12, which includes courtroom security and the sheriff's department as a whole. And traffic control, thank you.
Sex offender is sex offender money. That's not county money. That one's in what you're looking at. Not a lot of it. That's all. Oh,
That's on the other page.
Well,
that's the next page.
and jail.
So let's do page 12.
Let's just do.
Right now, we're voting on page 12. Dr. Lathrop,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Hopkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Uh,
I'll vote aye. Ms. Goolsby.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Skipping over sexual offender registry
Yeah, that's.
to the jail.
wait, do we have to vote on that? That's-
Probably have to vote on it, but it's not counted.
If we need to approve that, we'll go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, so approve.
We got a motion from Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Hopkins, as to the sex offender registry subsection. Any discussion on that? Is it reduced from 22,000 to 15,000? $7,000 reduction. Any public comment? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? I'll say unanimous. Opposed. Now that leaves, I believe, the jail. We've discussed all aspects of the jail commissary to medical expenses. Motion by Mr. Hopkins to approve, second by Mr. Jones. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Public comment. We'll go to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Unanimous as well. Drug Fund 122. That is section 122. The green tab, it's a one-page. Beth, can you give us an overview of the drug fund?
Sure, again, this is Smith County monies from drug savers or drug funds. Looking at spending approximately $70,000 with a fund balance of $85,981 projected for the year. Again, this is not any county revenue.
It still must be approved. Do we have a motion?
What page?
It is section 122, the green section.
Green tab.
I was in green.
Yeah, motion by Mr. Hopkins, second by Dr. Lather. Any questions? Public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Wong.
What is this money used for?
Drug enforcement
Can we buy a car over here?
for drug, only for drug, so like only a drug car. I could buy out of that. And so my narcotics investigator is actually a member of the Federal Violent Crimes Task Force, and they're giving me a car for him. So, and to buy one for somebody else, I'd have to, I'm not comfortable saying that they're assigned to a unit. They're not. It's gotta be full-time with narcotics. But it's a good question.
Are there any other major expenses in the budget that would be handled for these funds?
I mean, everything we're using it for is drug enforcement related. So it's solely focused on that.
What about it found in cars?
That's where that money comes from. So she's drug.
Yeah, but you can't, if you impound a car, it's in a violation of law, and it becomes property of the county. You can't use that for like a patrol car,
I can use it for drug enforcement.
only for drug.
Oh, yes, sir, and I can only keep it for 5 years and then I've got to sell it.
Very strict guidelines for how these funds can be utilized, and we don't, anyone is going to be in violation for us.
Any further questions? Public comment?
I'd like to say thank you to the commissioners that came to the sheriff's office. A couple of you came and like sat down with me and understood it, toured the building again. Anybody, whether you're in the public or commissioner, you call me and I'll make time.
Thank you. We're gonna go to a vote now. Any last comments? On the drug control 122. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's also unanimous vote. And I believe that does it for shares. And that will conclude our business for the day, barring any announcements that anyone needs to make. Yes, sir.
Does the county have a full-time grant writer?
No,
I feel like that'd be worth their weight in gold, man. You know, it's just, and that was their sole purpose.
I mean.
I know that's another, we're gonna pay another salary there, but I feel like it'd be worth their weight in gold.
Ms. Woodard, are you saying that's been explored in the past? Y'all tried that several times? What's been the result? Just can't afford it?
Nobody wants to fund it.
I think the executive green had one for the minute that about just talking about part-time.
Yeah. We use
We don't have this happen sometime.
I know they.
Also have South
South
Central
Central.
Development District. Use to administer the
They-
grants.